We are storytellers with sound.
I can't sit in silence. There has to be music, and it pushes me to do things that I probably would never have considered doing before.
Hello everybody, this is DJ Lokknessie and I'm coming at you from KGUR Radio Station. I hope that you enjoy the man behind the music. I am here with the lovely, the amazing Andrew Paul Woodworth.
What a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Great to be on
I'm so happy.
KGUR.
KGUR Radio Station. And
Is it
so,
Kegger? When you say it quickly, it's Kegger.
well, you know, it's because our mascot is the Cougars.
I thought maybe it's because you guys had a lot of parties.
No.
And everything was
I didn't think about that.
Every party was a Kegger.
Oh,
It's
well,
always, after all.
yeah, I'm
I'm
not
like,
really
that is a
allowed to-
real, that's a real commitment to the party right there.
I
Or the
can't
name
say
of our
this on
radio
air,
station.
but you know, I
Kegger.
like a drink every now and then. But no,
You have a
drinking
drink
is
every now
bad,
and then?
guys. Drinking is bad. Don't drink.
It's not bad unless you overdo it.
That is so true.
Unless you know, I don't drink anymore, but I used to be very good at it.
Back in the college days when you
And
were in
beyond.
UCLA.
And beyond, yes.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Andrew Paul Woodworth made his debut in the rock scene in the early 2000s, and when he made a break on having his music on Scrubs, which is interesting to find out that he didn't actually know that he was on Scrubs. So nobody told you about that, huh?
Isn't
How
that
did
funny?
you find out? How did you find out?
I found out because I would look on YouTube and somehow come across Amnesia, and I would see comments saying, "I'm here because of Scrubs." And I'm like, I don't quite get what's going on here. And then there were episode numbers and you know what? I don't care enough to even have got to the bottom of it at this point. Isn't that weird? Like, I don't really know. And shouldn't I know after all these years? Now, just to correct you a little bit, I got signed to Sony Records in 1995
1995. Oh, I'm
with a
wrong.
band called Elephant Ride, which was before Virgil.
Mm.
Elephant Ride was signed to Sony Records, and we were produced by John Paul Jones, who was the bass player from Led Zeppelin. So we lived with him for 2 months and recorded this album in Zuma Beach, California. And so that was when I had hair as long as yours, and I was apt to going to a kegger.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Oh, it was great.
So I've heard that you did collaboration with Virgil. Are you a part of the band?
I was the lead singer in Virgil, and then I'm primary songwriter. So Virgil was my band with my buddy Dave and a guy named Steve. Toby was our bass player for quite some time. We kind of alternated drummers, Ty Dennis and Dave Johnstone. Ty Dennis now drums for the Doors, the newest version of the Doors. And you are very young. You may not be a Doors fan.
No, I love the Doors. I'm a radio host. Of course I love the Doors.
Okay. So he drums for them, our first drummer. He's an amazing drummer.
That's
And
amazing.
Dave Johnstone drums for they're very, very active and sought after drummers. So yeah, Virgil was the band that was after Elephant Ride, and Dave and I were the only members of Elephant Ride that became members of Virgil. In fact, we started Virgil after Elephant Ride, after Sony decided to kick us to the curb, which was pretty rude.
My God, that must have been like the rejection of a lifetime, really.
It hurt big time.
You know,
I
they don't know what they're
remember
missing. They don't know what they're missing. They don't even know.
They didn't get their, $1 million back that they invested, but
Wait,
let me tell you, it was a joy. It was a blast to do all of it.
And that record label, you'd really deserve to be with Atlantic Records if I were to say anything. But it's so many musicians are just doing things by themselves, so you don't really need to have a record label anymore, right? Because of Spotify and all that stuff, right?
I mean, it's certainly, yes, it's a new world, and it's not one that I totally understand as much. I mean, I can't even figure out how I got onto Scrubs. So what does that tell you about my technological advances? Not good at that, but there's so much content that I don't know how people weed it out. And there are a lot of DIY, bands. It doesn't hurt though to have someone with $1 million who can throw it behind you.
Yeah,
You
that.
are you okay?
No, sorry, I was just adjusting
Maybe
them.
hurt yourself.
I didn't hurt
Uh,
myself.
no, but yes, it's a different world, and quite frankly, it was so much simpler then. Uh, you get signed, and you play shows, you work really hard, you build up a fan base live, and then you hopefully get the attention of a record company. It's all very lucky if you do. Um, and we were lucky to be in Los Angeles, and it didn't take that long. But but now it's not about the audience you create live, it's about the audience you create online, if I'm correct. So
Well,
record labels are signing bands that have this many followers.
you know what? I will say this. I think that for uprising musicians, they should value getting a record label. They really shouldn't rely on an audience online because you could get canceled pretty easy, and then there goes all your followers, and that's all they'll see. But if you have a record label to back you up, then you'll look amazing.
And I think it depends on who that record label is, who within that record label is championing you. It's
That's
all
also very
about
true.
those people who have resources and believe in you a lot. Uh, and playing live was always my thing. So, and if you look at this picture behind me, can people see me right now?
Yes, they can.
You see that picture of the guy hanging from the rafters up there?
Yes, yes, this one right here.
That
That.
is the
Oh
big,
wow.
that's Pearl Jam. Are
That's
you
a concert. He's actually hanging from it.
are you a Pearl Jam fan?
I love Pearl Jam.
My favorite band of all time.
Oh, they're so amazing.
Now look what he's doing. He's hanging there from the rafter and he has a microphone that's wrapped over and he's singing the song, I believe, Porch. And if you look
Wow.
at the audience, there's not a phone in anyone's hands.
What a life to live before
Because it was
everybody was,
1991 or 92 and we didn't have them.
back when people
People
actually wanted to experience things and not
people were in the
just.
room. People were in the room. Now, I'm not saying it's all bad. I don't want to be that
No, no, I mean,
old man
everybody
yelling at
recognizes it, even the new generation. We all know that, we want to have
a
interaction without phones.
I have students in here in this exact garage, and I say, look at this picture. What do you notice? And they don't get it at first. And I go, there's not a phone. And I say, it really was better when people weren't staring at this when you were sitting across from them. To me, and
Yeah.
and like you said, you tend to agree with that, don't you, as a younger generation? You can
Yeah, it
see the
is.
value in that. Do you think you would have preferred to have grown up in the 90s than now?
Well, I was born in 1998.
98?
What were you doing in 98? How old were you?
You have preferred to have grown up in the 90s? Would you prefer to have grown up when there were no phones and computers? Do you think?
I think, yes. I think I would have liked to. I'm the first generation, Gen Z. I don't remember a time before computers. Computers, like, I don't have any memories because babies don't form memories. But the computer actually came out in 1998, didn't it?
Don't know. I mean, I think there were early versions of computers in the 80s, but they were huge
Yeah, those big
monstrosities.
titans with, and all you
Weren't-
had was like text on the screen.
They weren't personal computers. I didn't have a cell phone till I was 36 years old. I was late to the game because I was desperately holding on to the past. But at UCLA, when I went to college, as your professor will attest, we didn't write with computers. We didn't do papers. We did papers on word processors. We had a little bitty screen that was this big, and we could see part of the sentence, and we have to go back and correct things. If we print it out, and if it was wrong, we'd have to take white out, put it back in the thing, and correct it, and then that was it.
Wow. That is insane.
Isn't
I
that crazy?
actually can't imagine that.
That's very strange. Yeah. And it may, I think writing papers has got to be way easier now. Typing them out, you could see the whole thing. All we could see was this bit.
We have a typewriter in the radio station. It was the first typewriter that we used to type up our radio PSAs and the scripts. This is also a film department, and
It is?
so yeah,
Oh.
we teach film here. That's the class that my professor is teaching currently.
He's teaching film right now.
Yes, he is.
Is it a film history class, or is it, how to make films?
It's how to make films, actually.
film narrative? Is it script writing? Is it just working a camera? What is it?
So single cam is the short film class, and they literally produce short films. They have the freedom to do whatever they want because it's you have a prerequisite of doing a studio cam, which is being taught how to broadcast a live news set and sports games. And so you work with cameras, and my professor is so unique because he does all hands on. Everything's hands on, and so like. And I'm really young, so I say like all the time. But
You know, let's count the number of likes you say during the segment.
That's
shot.
one. That's
Okay.
one. So one that my like count is one. I just said it
Okay.
again. And
I think you're doing great. I don't think you overuse it at all.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you really think so?
No,
Is
I think you're great.
DJ
I was
Lokknessie,
yeah,
am I impressing you?
very much so.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. Yeah.
Yay! Because I want to impress you. You're super cool.
No.
You are. Yeah, you're a rock musician. That's
Yeah.
rad.
Well,
That's
I'm a lot
awesome.
of things, I'll tell you that.
Well,
Let
what
me ask
things
you
are
this.
you? How do you define
It's
yourself?
your professor John you were talking about.
Mhm.
Was he a film student at UCLA?
Yes, he was.
See, we were in the same side of the campus. I wonder if I ran into that guy.
You could have. You probably could
I
have.
was a theater major and he was a film. So we were at McGowan Hall. We were in the sculpture gardens together. We probably crossed
Oh my
paths.
God.
Yeah.
Small world. Because you have students. Now, you mentioned this before we started because,
Huh?
we're live. But they didn't hear earlier when you said that you have students that go to Cal Poly. But where are
I,
you located?
I'm in Portland, Oregon. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I know where
I know
Portland is.
a lot of people. Have you been to Portland, Oregon?
No, but I've heard a lot about the music scene there.
Yeah. I mean, I did not, I grew up here, but I left when I was 17 to go to La Jolla High School in San Diego.
Mm.
So I didn't get, then I was at UCLA and then I was in Los Angeles for 22 years. So I didn't experience the music scene up here so much. I will tell you, in a small town, it's very incestuous, which is far different from the big city.
Now, what does that mean?
Incestuous
Yeah, in the
means
way.
everybody knows everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, small town. And I'm sure that, like your town, you're in a small town,
Yeah, I
right?
guess San Luis Obispo is pretty small.
Oh yeah. So there's the good and bad of that. There's a lot of community within the music world up here. But oftentimes it can be petty because people are, so competitive and
Really?
they know each other so well. And then
Oh, they're mean?
in
They're mean up
like
there? They're cliquey?
infighting families, clicky, sure. And Portland is rife with tribute bands. It's a big scene up here. Do you know the difference between a tribute band and a cover band?
No, tell me. Tell the
A
audience.
cover band is a band that will play other people's songs only, and a tribute band will play only one other band's songs. So there's a Journey tribute band, all Journey.
I feel like I'd really judge someone who's just a Beatles.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
there's just
there's
Beatles.
probably so many of them.
Huh? Are you a Beatles fan?
I love the Beatles, but I really hate it when people butcher with their creative versions of Beatles songs. I feel
Like
like,
the back versions? You want it to be a straight up Beatles version, is that right?
yeah, I like the Beatles. I like the Across the Universe. That's one of my favorites.
A great song.
Yeah, I love Across the Universe. It's a movie they made, and it's a musical based off of only Beatles songs.
What was that? What'd you say?
The movie Across the Universe.
Oh, I have not seen.
Oh, you gotta see it. Oh, it's a trip. It is so trippy.
Is it great?
It's amazing. I grew up watching it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that one.
Yeah,
Like I said earlier, at 54, I'm pretty limited in my what I will watch. It's all documentaries from here on out.
well, what's
It's
your favorite documentary?
You know what my favorite one is? My Ernest Hemingway documentary. Oh
Isn't
crap!
that the one that you
Pardon me.
mentioned earlier?
Huh?
Isn't that the guy you mentioned earlier?
Who did I mention him? No, I don't think I mentioned him earlier.
Who's the radio host you wanted that you told me about earlier? This was before we went live, so they don't know what I talk about.
I don't think I talked about it. Ernest Hemingway is a writer. He wrote The Sun Also Rises. He wrote all these great.
I knew you were talking about.
And then he, killed himself eventually, but the life he had was extraordinary. Also the Frank Sinatra documentary, All or Nothing at All. What a life. It's the kind of life you're not sure you probably sure you did not want to live. It's that dramatic. That many
Really?
swings. Yeah, that much sort of torture and loss. And I mean, you have massive amounts of success, but no, balance it out with pain and longing. I don't know. I don't think it's great. Not a great world.
Well, everybody's got a tragic life, I'd say.
You think so?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you had a tragic life?
Here and there. But,
Really?
I'm kicking. I'm kicking, though.
You seem really well adjusted.
You'd be surprised. It took a lot of work, but I think everybody's has a pathway. But wait, hold on. I do want to get into some of the questions that I have written down here because I've always wanted to ask you these questions.
Okay.
What was the inspiration for the song Emergency?
In an emergency.
The emergency song, yeah, the one on the
In
bottom.
an emergency,
Yes, that one.
would you neglect to need me?
Oh my God, he's singing for us. He's
See,
singing for this special moment.
that is that's a little ditty, isn't it? That was on. In fact, we just recorded that in one take in the booth with Dave playing the guitar and me singing at the same time. In fact, you hear him go, "Hold on a second, let me try again," because he sort of screws up the beginning of it, I guess, or he didn't play it the way he wanted to. So we kept it.
Oh, yeah, the beginning part.
Right.
Did you keep that in on purpose, to be candid?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you can take anything out, right? So if it's in there, it's on purpose. I think it was when I was younger, there was always that concern or fear that I didn't really have a lot of people who loved me. Um,
Aw.
and so you're begging the question, when life and death are on the line, who's with me? And I guess you have to ask that question of yourself as well. Who would I be there for in an emergency? Or if the walls are falling down, who am I grabbing before we leave the house? What am I grabbing before we leave the house? It's remarkable of a very young person's thinking, I think. And I was young when I wrote it. So
How old were you when you wrote it?
I was probably 27, your age, 28.
Ah, wow. Wow.
That is young to me now. And there's another question you have about songs I would have rewritten.
Yeah.
And when I look back at those first versions of songs, I'm like, I'd write all of them over, especially lyrically, because there's a lot of, as a young person is apt to do, and I was definitely at the high end of this was Poor Me. And I think it was also part of that grunge movement I was sort of involved in, the Pearl Jams and the Alice in Chains and the Soundgarden and the Mudhoney and that Nirvana, angst, don't smile in your pictures. What about me? I'm gonna, tear my heart out for you on stage. And
That's raw. That's real emotion. We
yeah,
need
but
that.
there's real emotion in many ways. And that was my young person's way of feeling important,
Mm.
was I'm the victim, I'm tortured. And a lot of it, to be honest with you, was very overwrought. Um, was exaggerated versions of those feelings. And I think a lot of people would do that artistically. They're going to take a feeling and blow it up, right? For the art,
Yeah.
get dramatic, right?
Yeah.
Art can be very dramatic.
Oh, I
And
agree.
so In an Emergency is definitely a little mini drama I was writing about feeling, not loved.
Oh God, that song actually blew me away when I heard it.
Really?
When I heard Amnesia for the first time, and I will admit I've been a radio host since I was a teenager, but I did hear Amnesia because I love Scrubs. I did hear Amnesia when I was
On
17.
Scrubs?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I watched Scrubs. I grew up watching it.
Well, I
And
don't even know what part of the show it was in. Like, what was happening in the show in that song?
yes, the song is from this one episode, and I have it at the top of my head, but it's this where JD, the main character, is still in love with his ex girlfriend, and she
Mhm.
keeps doing things to kind of, flipping her hair in front of him and things like
Ah,
that. And it's torturesome. And it's just this montage of him really, really wanting her attention. And she's talking about her new boyfriend. And so that's the episode here. It's My Advice to You.
okay.
Detailed the main character, JD, struggling with his feelings for his ex-girlfriend, Elliot, who entered a new relationship. That's the one. And it's in season 3, episode 6.
Huh.
How old were you when you found out that was in Scrubs?
I probably found out, many years ago. But I just don't really care that much. I hate to tell you, I don't. It's not something that I ever think about. We were on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was cool because
You were?
I was dating Emma, I was living with her at the time. Emma was an actress on the show.
Are you
She
just
was,
gonna say that casually, man?
do you know, well, Emma Caulfield played Anya. And so she was my girlfriend.
Oh,
And
nice.
we hung out with Joss Whedon, and he said, "Hey, why don't you guys come on our show?" And so we were actually filmed, and then I think in the scene in the Bronze, is that what it's called? Are you a Buffy fan?
I wouldn't say that I per se a Buffy
Familiar with it?
fan.
So we were filming that, and I think in the scene we get turned into somebody goes, "Oh, I'm tired of this band," which is not cool. And then they turn us into girls, and that was the end of that. That's fine. They were probably better than we were.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely crazy because, I per se, I was about like, oh my gosh, a famous person, but I am talking to a famous person. You're famous. Would you consider
Am
yourself
I?
famous? Yeah, you're famous.
Tell you right now, I am the most famous person in my house.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
uh,
I was an actor as well when I was young. So I did movies and television when I was 16, 17. There's a movie called Ernest Goes to Camp that I was in. I don't, you're very much too young for this, but there was an Ernest series of movies based on this character named Ernest P. Worrell. And he was this goofy guy, and he did all these movies. And I met my very best friend doing that movie. In 1986, I did episodes of Growing Pains, and I did soap operas like Days of Our Lives, and I did a movie called The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes with Kirk Cameron, where I had very long hair. So I did these Disney movies and these Hallmark Hall of Fame, television shows, and it was just good training for someone who was planning on being on stage for the rest of his life. I think everybody should take an acting class. You take one, Nessie?
I
I
have
have
taken
taken it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
I would
say
say so.
You taking acting classes?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Huh?
Oh,
Sorry.
There's
There's just
You're really distracted right now. I had some
there's
very
There's a-
important points to make, and I think
All right, one
or
second.
1 second. There is now.
everybody all right? All right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
it's repetitive. There's
Oh,
an
something
echo.
happened?
There's an
There's
echo.
an echo. Yeah.
Oh, no.
1 second.
Oh, how just all of a sudden there was an echo?
Well,
Well, the way I
Is it the thing I'm doing?
no.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Go ahead
Should
and.
we carry on?
Yeah,
That
go
never
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Tell me
Tell me
about
about
what
what
was
was it like working with Virgil?
With Virgil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a blast. The reason why it was so fun is because we played shows in Los Angeles to huge audiences. And so we would write songs knowing we were performing them. You dictate how you write based on where you think you're going with that particular song. If you know you're going to be performing these.
There we go. Yeah, well, I mean, you were on my end. It was my voice was echoing, and I was just hearing myself talk after myself. That's all. It does. It does. It's because it has this moment where you're kind of just slowing your voice, and because you're trying to catch up with it, and then you're interrupting yourself. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But Exactly. Mm.
It was quite a dream existence. We weren't guys who went out and partied at clubs and stuff. That wasn't our thing, but we played in our rock bands and hung out with other like-minded musicians and actors and had sort of a tribe of freaks who learned from each other and fought with each other and laughed and cried and uh, jumped all over the place, and it was a blast. Total blast.
So your band, Alma,
Alma mater.
yeah. So is that how you pronounce
Alma mater.
it?
That's like where you went to school.
Yeah.
Your alma mater.
Yeah. So, would you say that it's the same chemistry?
Well, it was very different, and that's a great question. This was basically a pandemic idea because no one was doing anything, obviously. And I eventually had some friends come over, and we would do these things called Bandemic. I put just a silly name to it, but it was really us getting together in this garage at a distance as best we could. And we would just play a song and record it and put it on, Facebook and YouTube and it's so funny how so many people were like, God, I used to count on those things so much during the pandemic. And I didn't really know that had that kind of an effect. It was super, we just did cover songs of people's songs. And then my buddy Dirk said, Hey, I've got all these songs. Would you sing to them? And I hadn't done that in a very long time where I had sung to someone else's compositions.
Mm.
He basically just wrote these guitar compositions. And it was a great challenge. And because I was a new father, um, the lyrical content was like nothing I'd ever done. So
Yeah.
God were the poor me songs for the most part. And now were the love songs and gracious songs and kind songs. It was a real evolution of young boy to man, I think. And
So
so it's very important music to me.
that's that's really touching. And so, and also, I wanted to ask the little boy on the cover of My Paradise. Is that your son?
No, because think about how long that would have been. My Paradise came out in I don't even know, 2001. Could it have been that long ago?
Yeah, I guess so. Wait, yeah, 2001. I mean,
Yeah,
I should
so
know that.
so that means my son would have been almost like your age.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, it was just a picture. I've always loved kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've always felt because I was the youngest child of much older siblings that I always had that sort of baby childlike wild exuberance inside of me. And I relate to kids so much, just the laughter and the silliness, the ridiculousness. And so I just gravitate toward kids. I've always worked with kids. I still do.
Mm.
And so I think I just saw that picture and the look on his face. I'm like, that kid, is awesome. I love everything about his little face. He looks like a little old man. Uh, and I just thought it was cool. So we used it. Got it
Yeah.
from iStock Photo. I know it's not a
I've always thought that
not a second story, huh?
I always thought that you had like some sort of connection with that picture in particular. Did you choose the album cover? You chose it?
I think I brought it to everybody and they went, yeah, that's cool. No, I mean, there is a connection to it, but it's not a real personal connection to the person in that picture. But it is a connection to the picture itself, which is it represents me in a way.
Okay, wow.
Represents that child that is, that creative spirit that really comes from that innocent place, I think.
Yeah, that's very wonderful. I'm so happy that this means something so deep to you. And so what is Virgil still together? What made you decide to split from them? Was it just,
No, we'd been a band for a while. We signed a record deal that turned out to be not a great situation. It was kind of a fake record company that tried to woo us, and it was kind of embarrassing, I think. Still played great shows, and then I did a cover of a Beastie Boys song called "Fight for Your Right," and I just rewrote it to make. Do you know that song "Fight for Your Right to Party" by the Beastie
Yeah,
Boys?
I actually did listen to that one. I do like that one.
And I wrote a little sort of sad song with the words, and then a TV show called One Tree Hill heard it, and then they used it, but they had to get permission from all the Beastie Boys because it was their song, and the Beastie Boys never licensed their songs. And so they said, yeah, we're going to try, but good luck. And then one by one, each member of that band, including Rick Rubin, who produced it, agreed to let it go. I didn't make any money from it. It wasn't my song, but One Tree Hill used it. And then I decided this might be a good time for me to just sort of write my own album with different instrumentation. I'll use some horns, I'll use some strings. I'll make it really eclectic. And that's sort of when I said, hey guys, I'm going to kind of do my own thing now. And then I got signed based on my own thing to a label in Europe, in Germany, in Hamburg. And that's when Virgil sort of my career went from Virgil to Andrew Paul Woodworth solo was when that happened. And then I toured all over Europe and Australia and
That's
England.
awesome. Oh my gosh,
And I got to bring other different musicians with me. And it was, I mean, it's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, wow.
I've got to do some cool things.
When are you gonna go on tour again? When are you gonna go on tour?
I might have lost your audio.
Oh wait, hold on one second.
No.
Can you hear me? Oh no! Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, sorry, one second.
Uh-oh.
Can
there
you
you
go. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Hello. I'm sorry.
That's a,
You
I need
know,
it.
technical difficulties. It's okay. It happens every time.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Oh, well,
You know,
thanks.
you got a real sweet quality about you. It's very charming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm charming?
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I guess yeah, I'm blushing because everybody here loves you so much and I'm talking to the man, the myth, the legend.
That's very sweet. Very cool. We're just two humans. We're just two humans talking.
It's absolutely incredible. And you think that I'm sweet. That's so nice.
Absolutely. Totally. I mean, don't you get that a lot?
Yeah, I mean, kind of sometimes,
I would imagine it's sort of intrinsic. I don't think you're putting it on.
I have made my enemies before. But
You made enemies?
oh yeah, a couple times maybe.
It's, you know what, that's bound to happen. It's not necessarily your fault. And if it is, you move on and you correct your mistakes and hopefully you don't do it again.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Uh-oh.
Oh no! Again?
There we go. You fixed it.
Yeah.
You fixed it.
Okay. All right. 1 second, everybody. We are going to be back. We're going to play a little bit of an intermission, and we will be with you shortly. Thank you very much.